If ever there was a way to re-announce yourself into the Premier League after missing a little run of games, Darwin Núñez was probably the player that I would have given the highest opportunity to do so. If you've got a yearbook and you're going to write the opportunities that people have, it's re-announcing yourself in the Premier League through scoring amazing goals. Darwin Núñez, I mean, first of all, the finisher, he came on, he didn't have long, he put himself in awkward positions. He was always in the right position for set pieces. So every time we had a corner, there was an opportunity. Forced the goalkeeper to make a save initially. Forced the goalkeeper to try and make a save again. Couldn't make it. Liverpool were moving Notts Forest all around at the back. And that's what won it for Liverpool. That's what made the difference. I know that people talk about, oh, well, they haven't created these many chances, or they haven't done this, or they haven't done that. Liverpool are a side that move you all over the place. They're constantly morphing. They're constantly changing. They're constantly looking for new areas to run into. So when Núñez comes on, Cody Gakpo's not on anymore, Dan's is on, and you see people moving around. It's not a 4-3-3 anymore. It's more like a 4-2-4. There's even like a 4-1-5 going on when Endo comes on, or Szoboszlai is constantly rotating. This Liverpool team are always changing. And when you're a side like Forest who are trying to claw your way out of the relegation zone, then sure, I get your frustration. But just for a second, give us this, right? Liverpool are injury-ridden right now, and this young team, minute by minute, week by week, game by game, month by month, are making their way through it, or at least have been making their way through it. It doesn't mean that they will always be making their way through it. In fact, this is one of those reviews where you could probably do a 50-50 version of it, right? I mean, there are so many different points to touch. First of all, Kelleher. Kelleher has kept Liverpool in multiple different games now. And when Forest, for instance, I think it was Elanga a couple of times he was through, had really good opportunities. He's made himself big, one-on-one with goalkeepers, been intimidating, had the presence, not that necessarily Alisson has, but certainly the presence of a Premier League goalkeeper. And people now look at him and go, if this guy is going to make a save, then I am going to struggle today. And guess what? He makes a lot of saves. On top of that, you've then got Van Dijk and Konate at the front, in front of him. And then on either side of that, I love looking at Joe Gomez and Conor Bradley. I think they are both brilliant players. And frankly, Liverpool didn't even start with Joe Gomez in the back line today. That's what I love most about this, right? If you're going to start with a Tsimikas on the other side, and then sure, you're definitely going to need Joe Gomez. But here's the mad thing about it, right? We need to adulate Joe Gomez in this game. Joe Gomez played 3 different positions. Started at defensive midfield, a position that so many people would put beyond a centre-back because the positional awareness is so different. There's almost a James Milner-esque quality to him now, but even then, I mean, there is another story to come on this channel later in the week, so I will leave a bit of the Joe Gomez story out. But here's my point, right? Joe Gomez started DM, went left back, went right back, or went right back, went left back. Yeah, I think it was like that, right? How does that happen for a player who just over a year ago was basically down and out of this Liverpool team, was struggling to even find a position, was clearly on the outs when Konate came in, clearly wasn't going to take over Virgil van Dijk, and Trent was such a clear choice for right back. Joe Gomez has shown the mental fortitude that so many other players do not at the very top level, that so many other players, frankly, don't get the opportunity to. I think the fact that Klopp has given him this opportunity for such a long time has been incredible. But at the same time, he's been there since he was 18 when Klopp first came in. He's been on the journey with him. He's shown the mentality. He's shown the work ethic. He's shown the grit, the determination to be in this Liverpool side. And I'm so happy for him. Even if he doesn't score a goal between now and the end of the season, I'd much rather see him put in 8 out of 10 amazing 8 out of 10 performances and still win something, right? This is a team that are hanging on at the moment. They put McAllister and Gomez in midfield alongside another youth member from the Liverpool Academy. I mean, if you're going to look at Bobby out there and you're going to say, yeah, that guy could start every Liverpool game this season, I don't think you're being realistic. He's an incredible player, right? But young players, when they first come in, just don't have the fitness. And it's clear that Liverpool need to rotate. You then go into that front line. In the way we've currently oriented it, is it really going to get that many goals? Diaz doesn't get that many goals. Cody Gakpo doesn't get that many goals. If you put Elliott out there, he doesn't get enough goals. It's not exactly a massive goal-generating machine, should we say. And that was with 43%. It might even be 53% of Liverpool's goal scorers out this season. Think about it. I've just been through an entire starting 11 for Liverpool who don't score that many goals. In fact, Virgil van Dijk might be Liverpool's biggest goal threat at times. And that's why when we win so many corners, our team is like, okay, here we go. There is something on here. It feels a little bit like there are a couple of teams in the Premier League who currently celebrate corners instead of a goal, or instead of at least, a big opportunity where it just sails over. Point being, right? Liverpool at the moment have to just muddle through. We have to put ourselves in a position where we can enable someone like Clark or Dans or Bradley or anyone else who came on as a sub to make an impact on the game. And I was worried about this match. I didn't do a preview for this one because I was ill, but I was worried about this game, right? I was worried that in the previous two matches, we'd given away a bit of our hand. There was a final, and then, obviously there's a bit more than that as well. And we'd given away a lot of what our tactics were, given away a lot of what our shape was, but we've been allowed to play. Now, Forest didn't really allow us to play so much in this game, in the areas we wanted to. We dominated possession, we didn't dominate shots, we didn't dominate all those other things, we dominated possession. We didn't dominate in many of the other areas. We were moving the ball around really well, but Notts Forest were really deep, and they were really just trying to break on Liverpool almost constantly, meaning that Liverpool were quite stretched out. But when Klopp made his subs, that was when the game changed. Klopp wanted to just stretch the game out as much as possible. Darwin Núñez came on and was so far down the field in terms of average positions, he was basically living the opposition's penalty area. Now that is partially because Liverpool didn't have all that much to do at the back at the time, but still, Liverpool were dominating possession at that point, and the formation looks so much more stretched out with all these subs, right? It's no longer this kind of Cody Gakpo deep and whoever alongside him, maybe even like a tucked in Diaz and a tucked in Elliott and then two fullbacks bombing on. This was just a traditional 4-3-3 at that point, and could even go for a 4-1-5 when Endo came on. Like, Liverpool were just putting bodies forward, obviously in formation, and trying to get them to unlock those little areas inside when Szoboszlai came on, or when you saw Núñez just making those little runs in the half spaces. The frustration being, obviously, for Forest, they were so dogged. They really put Liverpool to the sword today. They really gave Liverpool a good game. They gave them a game where it was like, okay, the experience has won out here. Nuno Espirito de Santo has set up a team who are clearly difficult to beat, who are horrible to play, who youth are going to struggle against. Dan's possibly had that penalty shout. I mean, you can make a call either way, but you can see why he'd be frustrated, right? And then on top of that, like, he went through in the goalkeeper, that little whatever it was. And then on top of that, like, they were just making it difficult for us to play late on. They were kicking the ball away. Danilo was being really finicky. Gibbs White was doing some silly stuff as well. There were just moments where you thought, you know what? They've pushed all the right buttons. They've done all the right things. This Liverpool team won't get through against these guys. But then Darwin Núñez pops up. The Darwin Núñez, the guy in the Premier League that opposition people talk about just being chaos. This guy isn't just chaos. This guy is targeted brilliance. This guy comes on, and because it looks so different to all the other stuff that Liverpool do, you think it's chaos. Jurgen Klopp has given him a detailed brief before he comes on. He's changed the way that Liverpool play very deliberately. And the brilliant thing about him is, sure, formationally, he is fantastic. But yeah, there is chaos when he then gets into all of the weird little positions he does when there's a set piece or whatever it is, or when there's like a second or third phase of play. But that's just what we train him to do. We've changed that. Now, obviously, we can remember this from the days at Benfica. He was an awkward little tight area player. We knew that we were getting a guy that if teams sat deep like Forest did, then he would make it uncomfortable for them, because there is a little poacher element to him. There is that element of, I'm just going to get on your nerves, and I love it. The frustration, of course, being that when I look at this formation, when I look at Liverpool's the average lineup age, we're 25.2, and people won't give us the credit for playing the youth. There is so much youth in this team. Clark, Connor Bradley, Ibrahim Konate is still very young. Cody Gakpo is still young. Harvey Elliott is still young. There are so many people who've evolved at Liverpool, right? But you know what? There are going to be loads of people who go, well, that is still a very experienced team. Well, guess how many people are out? Guess how many Liverpool players are currently out? I can read you a really long list, and it does worry me a little bit, because then we've got to play again on Thursday, got to play Sparta Prague, a very difficult team to play. They really are, like, tactically, they are an attacking, nasty side to play. But having said that, Konate and Van Dijk seem able to cope with those kind of things. In fact, there was a 4-on-2 today where I was like, all right, this is insane. Like, how are they meant to deal with this? And Virgil van Dijk dealt with it. Went back for a corner, I think, but it still dealt with it. Joel Matip, Diogo Jota, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Alisson, Stefan Bajcetic, Curtis Jones, Ryan Gravenberch, Thiago Alcantara, Mohamed Salah. That's the illness. Sorry, guys. Today, we brought on Wataru Endo, didn't start. Darwin Núñez, didn't start. Szoboszlai, been injured. Tsimikas, didn't start. It's pretty mad, actually, when you think about it. Jayden Dans. We started Andy Robertson, obviously, and I think the average positions for people like Andy Robertson as well. I mean, he was almost a proper left-back today because of the way that Liverpool were playing. we were struggling, I think, to get beyond that low block of Forest. This puts pressure on people like City. This puts pressure on people like Arsenal. This makes them look at it and go, how are they getting through these games? How is it that they are making their way through these? And I know it probably puts City in a great position where they go, well, we can play that. Sure. But just think about it just for a second, right? This Liverpool side are still putting runs of games together, still surprising people, still doing things that opposition don't expect them to do. Jurgen Klopp is showing all the things that originally he was doubted for when he first came into the Premier League. This is a big run of games we're going into now. I was hoping we'd get beyond Forest. We've got the midweek and then we've got City. This is a massive run. I'm hoping there are a few people who return, but we will see. An exciting time for us, but also a really nervous one if you're a Liverpool fan. Let me know what your predictions are for our coming games. I'll be interested to know who you think gets back in time, who you think plays, who you think can play where, and how we counter what City are currently doing. It's a big week. Stick around the channel, guys. Much love. See you later. Bye.